Our dear Pastor Henry Daring worked side by side with Pastor Branko Cholich, both in the American Union and at the General Conference, both in this great country and in many countries around the world. Pastor Henry Daring is the President of the American Union. He is also the Director of the Evangelism Department of the General Conference. He will break the bread of life to us.
No more night. Someday there will always be light, and Jesus is the light of the world. In the book of John, chapter 14, verse 27, it says, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." And the familiar words in the book of Psalms, the psalmist writes, chapter 90, "Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever thou hast formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. Thou turnest man to destruction and sayest, Return, ye children of men. For 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday when it is past, as a watch in the night. For all our days are passed away in thy wrath. We spend our years as a tale that is told. The days of our years are 80 years and 10. And if by reason of strength they be 80 years or 80 years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off, and we fly away. Who knoweth the power of thine anger? Even according to thy fear, so is thy wrath. So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. I'd also like to read from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verses 1 through 7. But it's not going to be from the King James Version. It's going to be from the Good News Bible. It says, "So remember your Creator while you are still young, before those dismal days and years come when you will say, I don't enjoy life. That is when the light of the sun, the moon, and the stars will grow dim for you. And the rain clouds will never pass away. Then your arms that have protected you will tremble, and your legs, now strong, will grow weak. Your teeth will be too few to chew your food, and your eyes too dim to see clearly. Your ears will be deaf to the noise of the street. You will barely be able to hear the mill as it grinds, or the music as it plays. But even the song of a bird will wake you from sleep. You will be afraid of high places, and walking will be dangerous. Your hair will turn white. You will hardly be able to drag yourself along, and all desire will be gone. We are going to our final resting place, and then there will be mourning in the streets. The silver chain will snap, and the golden lamp will fall and break. The rope at the well will break, and the water jar will be shattered. Our bodies will return to the dust of the earth, and the breath of life will go back to God, who gave it to us. Dear friends, we've come to say goodbye to a man who was a brother, a husband, friend, and a warrior of God. I'd like to go back into the time, some 2,000 years, the time when Jesus Christ lived. Jesus was well loved by many people. One family that loved him very much lived in a small village named Bethany. Their names were Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. One day, Lazarus became very sick and died. It was a terrible ordeal for Mary and Martha. Death is the end of this present life. We weep because we have lost our loved ones. It seems that the worst has happened. In our modern world, the nurse can go home. The physician can return to his office. Medicines, IVs, oxygen, and ministering hands are no longer needed. Mary, Martha, and Lazarus had a happy home in their little village. They had everything a family could possibly need: a comfortable home and plenty of good food. More than that, they had a home whose doors were open to many friends, and there was love there. They loved each other, and they had love for Jesus. As Mary, Martha, and Lazarus' home was open to friends, so also Brother Cholich's home was always open to brothers and sisters and friends. Always. Then Lazarus died. What sickness caused the death of Lazarus? We don't know. How intense was his suffering? From the first day of his sickness, his two sisters and perhaps others nursed him with tender care. Why was this tragedy allowed to happen? Why did Lazarus have to suffer and die? Why did God have these two sisters go through the excruciating trial? I'm sure there were questions that seemed perplexing to the sisters. Some may ask, if Jesus really loved him, he would have come to Mary and Martha before his death. The Bible says in John 11, verse 5, now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. Love does not always do what we want or expect. Here's what Jesus did when he heard of Lazarus' death. When Jesus had heard, therefore, he was sick, he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was. Jesus stayed away from Mary and Martha in the hour of their greatest need. He loved them. Therefore, he delayed his return until Lazarus died. What a strange event. To put it plainly, because Jesus loved them, he stayed away. We would expect just the opposite. We expect the Bible to read, Jesus loved him, and therefore he rushed to go to help them. That is what we expect. That is what we want. If you're in a hospital, most of you want your family or pastor there immediately. But we can be certain that no tragedy, no pain, no tears, no heartache can separate us from the love of God. As we suffer, he also suffers with us and desires to perfect us through the hot fires of affliction. Let's get back to the story of Lazarus. After Lazarus died, what happened next? Reading from John 11, verse 35 and 36, it says, Jesus wept. Then said the Jews, behold, how he loved him. Jesus had deep emotions. He wept. Crying can provide a built-in emotional release valve. Did Lazarus remain in a tomb very long? Only 4 days. What transpired next is told in John chapter 11. Jesus said, take ye away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, said unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh, for he had been dead 4 days. And when he had thus spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound about with a napkin. Jesus said to him, loose him and let him go. Jesus said, Lazarus, come forth. Lazarus, come back to life. What a miracle. Jesus said to himself, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet he shall live.